Hello, mental mindscape explorers. Welcome back. Today, we're going to wade into the often murky waters of fear and how it can, without us even realizing it, shape the landscape of our minds and the course of our lives. It's something we all experience, that gut-wrenching feeling that can freeze us in our tracks, making us second-guess ourselves, and ultimately, preventing us from reaching our full potential. But what if I told you there was a way to navigate these treacherous waters? A way to not just survive but thrive in the face of fear? It's a big claim, I know, but one that's based on understanding how our minds work and how we can learn to manage our reactions to the world around us. Imagine a life where the decisions you make aren't dictated by that nagging voice of anxiety, where you aren't constantly second-guessing yourself, where you feel confident enough to pursue new opportunities, go after your goals, and even just be yourself completely. That's what we are diving into today. It's not about becoming fearless, because that's simply unrealistic. It's about developing the tools and strategies to manage fear, to prevent it from holding you back, and to ultimately live a more authentic and fulfilling life. Think of it as learning to surf. You're not eliminating the waves, but you're learning how to ride them. Now let's take a moment to consider how fear might be subtly influencing your choices. Have you ever shied away from a promotion because you were afraid of failing? Have you ever not spoken up in a meeting, concerned about how your ideas would be received? Perhaps you've avoided starting a creative project, paralyzed by the fear of not being good enough. Maybe it's even simpler things like avoiding social situations or even trying new foods. These seemingly small choices, dictated by fear, can accumulate over time and significantly impact the direction of our lives. The fear of embarrassment, the fear of judgment, the fear of the unknown. They can all conspire to keep us stuck in our comfort zones. Think about the relationships you have in your life. Has the fear of rejection ever kept you from pursuing a connection with someone you were interested in? Have you ever avoided conflict, even when it meant sacrificing your own needs and desires? Fear can infiltrate every aspect of our lives, often without us even being consciously aware of it. It can prevent us from expressing our true selves, from setting healthy boundaries, and from building meaningful connections with others. We might find ourselves agreeing with things we don't believe in, staying silent when we should speak up, or tolerating disrespectful behavior, all because we're afraid of the consequences of asserting ourselves. It's a subtle form of self-sabotage, driven by the deep-seated need for acceptance and belonging. You know, that feeling that tells you to stay safe, to stick with what's comfortable, to avoid rocking the boat. It convinces you that taking a risk, stepping outside your comfort zone, is simply too dangerous, too risky. It whispers doubts in your ear, highlighting potential pitfalls and minimizing your strengths. It paints vivid pictures of worst-case scenarios, making them seem far more likely than they actually are. It's a powerful force, one that can easily derail our best intentions and keep us trapped in patterns of avoidance. This is a deeply ingrained response, hardwired into our brains over millennia. Our early ancestors relied on fear to survive in a dangerous world, alerting them to predators, alerting them to threats, and helping them protect themselves. It was a crucial instinct that ensured the survival of our species. The fight-or-flight response, triggered by fear, allowed them to react quickly to immediate dangers, increasing their chances of survival. Those who were more attuned to potential threats were more likely to survive and pass on their genes, leading to the evolution of our highly sensitive fear response. But here's the thing, the threats we face today are vastly different from those faced by our ancestors. We're not constantly battling predators or dodging natural disasters. Yet, our brains are still wired to respond to perceived threats with the same intensity as if we were. Social rejection, financial insecurity, public speaking, even simply not fitting in. These can all trigger the same fear responses in our brains. We create our own monsters. The amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for processing emotions, particularly fear, doesn't always distinguish between a real physical threat and a perceived social threat. This can lead to an overreaction to situations that are not actually life-threatening, resulting in unnecessary anxiety and avoidance. Think about it. Your brain can't truly tell the difference between a real physical danger and a thought. You aren't wrong to feel those feelings, but you can learn to acknowledge that you are safe, and that this is just your brain trying to protect you in the only way it knows how. By recognizing that your fear response is sometimes disproportionate to the actual threat, you can begin to challenge its validity and regain control of your emotions. It's about training your brain to differentiate between genuine danger and perceived threat, and to respond accordingly. Now, there's this idea, this concept, this philosophy that is a core component of Stoicism that I think really lends itself to how to handle feelings like this. Epictetus, a prominent Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "It is not things themselves that disturb people, but their judgments about these things." In essence, it's not the external events that cause our suffering, but our interpretation of them. This highlights the importance of taking responsibility for our own thoughts and emotions, rather than blaming external circumstances for our unhappiness. It's about recognizing that we have the power to choose how we respond to events, even when those events are challenging or unpleasant. And that's where the key lies. It's not about eliminating fear altogether, because that's simply not possible. Fear is a natural emotion, and it serves a purpose. It's about changing our relationship with fear, about learning to recognize it, understand it, and ultimately, use it as a tool for growth. It's about transforming fear from a paralyzing force into a motivating one, using it as a signal that we're pushing ourselves outside of our comfort zones and venturing into new territory. It's about embracing the discomfort that comes with facing our fears, knowing that it's a necessary part of the process of growth and self-discovery. So how do we do that? How do we shift our perspective and learn to navigate the turbulent waters of fear? The first step is awareness. We need to become more mindful of our thoughts, our feelings, and our physical sensations. We need to start noticing when fear arises, what triggers it, and how it manifests in our bodies. This requires a conscious effort to pay attention to our internal state, to observe our thoughts and feelings without judgment. It's about developing a heightened sense of self-awareness so that we can recognize the early warning signs of fear and anxiety before they escalate. Do you find yourself tensing up, feeling your heart race, or experiencing butterflies in your stomach? Are your thoughts racing, filled with worst-case scenarios and negative self-talk? Becoming aware of these signals is the first step in taking control. Once you recognize these physical and mental cues, you can begin to intervene and prevent the fear from spiraling out of control. You can use relaxation techniques, such as deep breathing or progressive muscle relaxation, to calm your body and mind. You can also challenge your negative thoughts and replace them with more positive and realistic ones. Another helpful tactic is to challenge your assumptions. It can be so helpful to actually say things out loud, so that you can hear how truly bizarre and unlikely the thought might be. This can help to expose the irrationality of your fears and to weaken their hold on you. It's about shining a light on the dark corners of your mind, revealing the distortions and exaggerations that fuel your anxiety. By speaking your fears aloud, you can create a distance between yourself and your thoughts, allowing you to examine them more objectively. Are you jumping to conclusions, assuming the worst possible outcome? Are you exaggerating the potential consequences of your actions? Are you downplaying your own abilities and strengths? Take a moment to question these thoughts. Ask yourself, is there any real evidence to support these fears? Or are they simply based on your own insecurities and anxieties? This involves actively challenging the validity of your fears, seeking out evidence that contradicts them, and considering alternative explanations for the situation. It's about becoming a detective, gathering information, and weighing the evidence before drawing conclusions. Perhaps you're afraid of failing a test. Are you truly incapable of passing it? Or are you simply lacking confidence in your abilities? Have you studied the material, sought help when needed, and done everything in your power to prepare? If so, then you have every reason to believe that you will succeed. Remind yourself of your past successes, focus on your strengths, and visualize yourself achieving your goals. This can help to boost your confidence and to counteract the negative self-talk that fuels your fear. Or maybe you're afraid of speaking in public. Are you truly going to be ridiculed and humiliated, or are you simply worried about stumbling over your words or not being perfect? Remember, everyone makes mistakes, and most people are far more forgiving than we give them credit for. Focus on delivering your message clearly and authentically, rather than striving for perfection. Prepare thoroughly, practice your presentation, and visualize yourself speaking confidently and engagingly. That concept of judging yourself harder than others judge you, that is the key here. You are often your own worst critic. We tend to hold ourselves to impossibly high standards, constantly scrutinizing our performance and dwelling on our flaws. We often fail to recognize our strengths and accomplishments, focusing instead on our shortcomings. It's important to remember that everyone makes mistakes, and that imperfections are a part of being human. Another effective strategy is to reframe your thoughts. Instead of focusing on the negative aspects of a situation, try to find the positive. Instead of dwelling on the potential for failure, focus on the opportunity for growth. Instead of fearing the unknown, embrace the adventure. This involves consciously shifting your perspective, choosing to focus on the potential benefits and opportunities that may arise from a challenging situation. It's about finding the silver lining in every cloud, and about viewing setbacks as learning experiences rather than as failures. Perhaps you're facing a difficult challenge at work. Instead of focusing on the stress and pressure, try to see it as an opportunity to learn new skills, to prove your abilities, and to make a meaningful contribution. This can help to transform a daunting task into a stimulating challenge and to motivate you to approach it with enthusiasm and determination. Focus on the skills you will gain and the positive impact you can have. Or maybe you're dealing with a difficult relationship. Instead of dwelling on the conflict and negativity, try to focus on the love, support, and connection that you share. Remember, relationships are messy and disagreements are inevitable. But it's how we handle those challenges that ultimately determines the strength and resilience of the bond. Focus on the positive qualities of the other person, express your gratitude for their presence in your life, and work together to resolve conflicts constructively. Another thing I like to do is to ask myself, what is the worst that could happen? Now that sounds kind of dark, but hear me out. Once you can see it and it's not nearly as bad as the stories in your head, then you can start to come up with a plan to handle those worst-case scenarios. This can really make you feel like you are more in control of your reaction and how you might deal with the outcome. Often, the worst-case scenario is not nearly as catastrophic as we imagine it to be, and even if it does occur, we can usually find ways to cope with it. By confronting our worst fears head-on, we can diminish their power over us and regain a sense of control. Consider, too, that there are often opportunities in the challenges that you are facing. Can it make you stronger, more compassionate, or more appreciative? There are often hidden gifts in the things that scare us, if we choose to look for them. Facing our fears can lead to increased self-confidence, resilience, and a greater appreciation for life. It can also help us to develop new skills and to discover hidden strengths. By embracing our fears, we can unlock our full potential and live more fulfilling lives. Now, many people think that courage means not being afraid, but that's simply not true. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the ability to act in spite of it. It's about facing your fears head-on, even when you're terrified, because you know that it's the right thing to do. It's about choosing to act in accordance with your values, even when it's difficult or uncomfortable. It's about pushing through the fear and taking action, knowing that it's the only way to achieve your goals and to live a life of purpose. Imagine a soldier going into battle. They're not fearless, they're likely terrified, but they push through their fear because they have a duty to protect their comrades, to defend their country. Their sense of duty and commitment outweighs their fear, motivating them to act bravely in the face of danger. They are driven by a higher purpose, which gives them the strength to overcome their fear. Or think about a firefighter running into a burning building. They're not immune to fear, but they put their lives on the line because they know that someone needs their help. Their compassion and desire to help others motivates them to act heroically, even when it means risking their own lives. They are driven by a deep sense of empathy and a commitment to serving their community. Or consider a parent standing up to a bully who's harassing their child. They're not necessarily comfortable with confrontation, but they're willing to do whatever it takes to protect their family. Their love for their child and their desire to protect them from harm gives them the courage to confront the bully, even if it means putting themselves at risk. They are driven by a fierce protective instinct and a deep sense of responsibility. These are all examples of courage in action. It's not about being fearless, it's about being brave, about choosing to act in accordance with your values, even when you're scared. It's about recognizing that fear is a natural emotion, but that it doesn't have to control your actions. It's about choosing to be brave, to act with integrity, and to stand up for what you believe in, even when it's difficult. Something that can really help you build courage is to challenge yourself. You can think of it as building your courage muscles. Every time you challenge yourself, you're building your courage and resilience. This is about gradually expanding your comfort zone, taking small steps towards facing your fears, and celebrating your progress along the way. It's about creating a positive feedback loop, where each successful challenge reinforces your confidence and makes you more willing to take on new challenges. Start small. Maybe it's trying a new activity, speaking up in a meeting, or simply striking up a conversation with a stranger. The key is to consistently push yourself outside of your comfort zone, to gradually expand your horizons. Don't try to tackle your biggest fears all at once. Start with something that feels manageable and gradually work your way up to more challenging situations. Celebrate each success, no matter how small, and use it as motivation to keep moving forward. The more you challenge yourself, the more confident you'll become, and the less power fear will have over you. I can't stress this enough. You have to be consistent. Consistency is key to building courage and overcoming fear. It's about making a commitment to yourself to consistently challenge yourself, to step outside of your comfort zone, and to face your fears head-on. It's about making it a habit, a regular practice, so that it becomes easier and easier over time. Another powerful tool in overcoming fear is to seek support. We are social creatures, and we thrive on connection. Talking to a trusted friend, family member, or therapist can provide you with valuable perspective, encouragement, and support. Sharing your fears with someone you trust can help you to feel less alone, to realize that you're not the only one struggling. It can also provide you with an opportunity to gain new insights, to see your fears from a different angle. Sharing your fears with someone you trust can help you to feel less alone, to realize that you're not the only one struggling. It can also provide you with an opportunity to gain new insights, to see your fears from a different angle. Talking about your fears can help to diffuse their power and to make them seem less daunting. It can also provide you with valuable emotional support and encouragement. A therapist can provide you with evidence-based tools and techniques to manage your anxiety, to challenge your negative thoughts, and to develop coping mechanisms for dealing with fear. They can help you to identify the root causes of your fears, to understand how they developed, and to develop strategies for overcoming them. They can also provide you with a safe and supportive environment to explore your emotions and to work through your challenges. It can also be helpful to join a support group where you can connect with other people who are facing similar challenges. Sharing your experiences, listening to others, and offering support can be incredibly empowering. Knowing that you're not alone, that there are other people who understand what you're going through, can be incredibly comforting and validating. Sharing your experiences and listening to others can also provide you with new insights and perspectives. And you know, it's okay to ask for help. It doesn't mean you're weak, it means you're human. We all need support from time to time, and there's nothing wrong with seeking it out. Asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness. It takes courage to admit that you're struggling and to reach out for support. It's important to remember that you don't have to go through it alone. So we've talked about awareness, challenging assumptions, reframing thoughts, building courage, and seeking support. But there's one more element that I want to touch on, and that's self-compassion. It's so easy to be hard on ourselves, to beat ourselves up when we make mistakes or fall short of our expectations. But that only serves to fuel our fear and anxiety. Instead, we need to learn to treat ourselves with kindness and understanding, to offer ourselves the same compassion that we would offer a dear friend. This involves recognizing that everyone makes mistakes, that everyone has flaws, and that you are worthy of love and acceptance just as you are. It's about treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer to someone you care about. Remember, you're human. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to have setbacks, that's part of life. Don't let those experiences define you. Learn from them, grow from them, and move on. Don't dwell on your mistakes or beat yourself up about them. Acknowledge them, learn from them, and move on. Focus on your strengths and accomplishments, and remember that you are capable of achieving great things. Treat yourself with kindness and compassion. Acknowledge your pain, validate your feelings, and remind yourself that you're doing the best you can. This involves allowing yourself to feel your emotions without judgment or criticism. It's about acknowledging your pain and validating your feelings, rather than trying to suppress or ignore them. It's also about reminding yourself that you're doing the best you can, given the circumstances. Practicing self-care can be an important way to ensure that you are building the foundation you need in order to face your fears. That might mean meditation, exercise, healthy eating, spending time with people you love, and doing activities that help you feel at peace and relaxed. Taking care of your physical and mental health is essential for building resilience and overcoming fear. It's about creating a lifestyle that supports your well-being and helps you to thrive. Now, as we wrap up this exploration of fear, I want to leave you with one final thought. Fear is not your enemy. It's a part of you. It's a natural human emotion that serves a purpose, but it doesn't have to control you. You have the power to choose how you respond to it. You can choose to let it paralyze you, or you can choose to use it as a catalyst for growth. The choice is yours. Remember, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. The path to a more fulfilling life is often paved with challenges, with risks, with fears. But the rewards are immeasurable. Embracing your fears is the first step towards unlocking your full potential and living a life of purpose and meaning. So embrace your fears, learn from them, grow from them, and never stop challenging yourself to reach your full potential. And with that, explore your mind. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Until next time, keep exploring, keep growing, and keep taking care of your mind.